Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to explain what I thought government was before our American government class and what I have learned about it and what government actually means. And I will also follow up on the philosophers that our government actually originated from and how cool it is that they used their ideas from the past and transformed a new government for our country, such as how we have a system of checks and balances to make sure one branch of government, either the legislative, judicial branch, or executive branch, don't have too much power, and I will explain what all those mean. I'm going to start off with what I thought American government was, and I thought it was people just arguing in a big, gigantic Congress room without anybody getting anything done or them just shouting at each other, not really listening to each other. But I learned from Mr. Squires that they actually have to do that to work together somehow. So the correct definition of the U.S. government is that it consists of institutions, agencies, and elected or appointed political officials whose purpose is to write, enforce, or interpret laws and public policies. The main goal of local, state, and federal governments are to maintain public order, provide goods and services that help the lives of citizens, and protected basic freedoms and I also found out how our government got created by our founders and they're choosing to follow the philosophers' ideas and how they experienced what they thought. Like Aristotle thought that many forms of government were very corrupt, and Plato thought that those who govern must be wise, but not just them two, there was many others, and their ideas were over 2,000 years old, but we still find them relevant today in our government because we learned from their mistakes, and I think our founders didn't want to make those same mistakes again. I also think that if our founders hadn't went off the philosophers' ideas and experiences, that our government would either be like a dictatorship or we would have a king or queen, and we wouldn't have the freedom that the USA has today, such as voting, women and African Americans have rights. I think that it would be really unfair, kind of like other countries are today when they have a king, queen, or a dictatorship. One system in government that really interests me, I think, would be the checks and balance system because it consists of three branches, which is the judicial branch, executive branch, and legislative branch. And each branch has to make sure that the other branch doesn't have too much power over the other. And they each make a role up in the government. So the judicial branch makes up the Supreme Court, which all the judges and they deal with all the cases. And the legislative branch deals with Congress, and below that is the House of Representatives and the Senate. And the last branch is the executive branch, which is the president and vice president jobs. One of the most important things in this book that I found was very interesting was how Virginia became the first state to adopt a Declaration of Rights for the people. The Virginia Declaration was the first document to protect the individual rights of the people by the actual people themselves, and I thought that was kind of cool because it wasn't just elected officials that came up with this document. Like, they had a convention and had people there that kind of said what they wanted in it, and they took into consideration of what the people wanted and not just the elected officials. The Declaration actually included fundamental and inalienable rights, and that the government is created by the people and protected by those of the God-given rights. And one statement that really stood out to me in the Declaration itself is that all power is derived from and kept by the people, and I think this is a really powerful statement because I wouldn't want somebody to telling me what to think and to say. I'd like to think for myself. And I think that makes our country really unique because we have so many different types of people that we get so many ideas from each mind. And I think that's what makes the USA or the United States really big, and why people always want to come over here because we know how to govern ourselves. I actually learned a lot about government that I didn't know before, like how important it is to our country and that it keeps our country going, and what the system of checks and balances is, and how important it is that each branch doesn't have too much power over the other. And finally, that the Virginia Declaration is actually really cool because it was the first declaration of the people's rights to be written and copied down, but that it was also written by the actual people and not just elected or appointed officials. So this is what I've learned for just this part of the book, so I hope to learn more.